Now, with the amount of insane history videos I've been watching, a lot of you guys started linking this over to me. Now, listen, when we watch this, it's informative. I'm just trying to see the informative. And listen, it is also allegedly. Most corrupt Filipinos allegedly. I want to see this video, man. I know for a fact that when they put allegedly in the title for this one by FunFact, it's obviously because some people probably were getting angry like, hey, that's not true or this is not true. But here's the reality. This is the 10 most corrupt Filipinos, and you guys linked it over. You guys wanted me to check it out so I can be informed on certain things that have been happening. And honestly, I'm really intrigued. You know what I mean? Like, I've seen so many things, especially with the United States, like most corrupt or things that have happened sneakily, right? There's actually crazy things that I remember in history class that I would learn from corrupt, like presidents or corrupt leaders or corrupt politicians. Like, this happens even from where I'm from, Brazil. Like, things like that happen. And that's the reality, right? I remember even hearing a quote like, oh, you can't be a rich politician without being corrupt. I remember that as a quote too. Crazy stuff, man. Crazy world. You know, I'm over here just eating my sandwiches and drinking my cafe, and, you know, stuff like this be happening. So I'm curious to see it, man. I'm really excited to see it. I mean, history and information like this, I don't know, something about it just, it's a sponge to my brain. Regardless, let's see this together, please. Let's go.
In 1986, driven by public unrest and a desire for change, the People Power Revolution ousted President Ferdinand Marcos Sr.,
Oh, my goodness.
A nationwide movement sparked by years of alleged dictatorship,
I've heard about
human
this.
rights abuses, and massive corruption. So here's a logical question. If the country ousted a leader allegedly for dictatorship and corruption, shouldn't corruption have been minimized afterward? You'd think so, right? But here we are, nearly 4 decades later.
I think it's because when they see that, let me just budge in and say, like, because they probably get smarter. Kind of like, you know, when drug dealers or anyone gets caught, they almost get smarter in a way. You know what I mean? Like, they know how to get around that. Like, oh, I won't make that mistake again. Like, that's kind of what happens. You know what I'm saying? Like, they kind of get a little bit smarter. And also, what makes them just do this? You know what I mean? Like, that's a sincere question. Yes, of course, money is a big greed for a lot of human beings. But, like, what really just makes you be like, you know what? I'ma just not be good. Like, you know what I mean? Like, sometimes it's like one of those things, like, maybe, I don't know. I want to know what y'all think. It's crazy to me, man. It's kind of like something I can't put in my brain. Like, what made you do that? Why would you do that? You feel me? Like, it's just that question.
Guess what? We've somehow mastered the art of rebranding corruption under the banner of democracy. Some of the richest, most powerful, and most untouchable figures in Philippine politics today have one thing in common: a long paper trail of corruption allegations.
What is this photo?
And that raises another question. If we ousted a president for being corrupt, yet corruption continued and even flourished after him, what does that say about us as a nation? Did we really remove the problem, or just replace it with a better disguise? Makes you wonder. Was Marcos Sr. truly the root of it all, or was he just the most convenient target at the time? We've compiled the 10 allegedly most corrupt Filipinos after the exile of Marcos Sr. Let's be clear, this is not a conviction or a court ruling. We're not declaring anyone guilty, nor are we claiming that all allegations are true. This list is simply a compilation of corruption issues raised against these individuals based on official reports, Senate hearings, whistleblower accounts, journalistic investigations, and audit findings. Then we ranked them according to the reported amounts involved.
Okay.
Are these people truly corrupt? Maybe. Are these just politically motivated attacks by enemies and bitter rivals?
That's what I was going to say.
Possibly.
Right? That could
And
happen.
in some cases.
Technically.
Probably. Let's be honest. Not every accusation smells like truth. Some reek of political vendetta. Now, let's check out what we've found. Here they are, starting with number 10 on our list of the allegedly most corrupt Filipinos. At number 10 is Bong Revilla. Revilla became one of the most prominent names in the PDF scam, a massive pork barrel scandal that exposed how lawmakers funneled public funds to fake NGOs in exchange for kickbacks. He was accused of diverting 517 million pesos from his PDAF to bogus organizations linked to Janet Napoles, his alleged partner in crime.
How do you even do that?
He also reportedly received 124.5 million pesos in kickbacks through his aide, Richard Cambe. Cambe was later convicted. When the government tried to recover 224 million pesos from Revilla, he allegedly refused. He was accused of hiding 200 million pesos, including money sitting in his bank account.
Yo, that's a lot of money,
The AMLC was forced to flag his accounts, but it was too late. The money couldn't be recovered. In 2014, Revilla was detained at Camp Crame while facing trial for plunder and multiple counts of graft. For a while, it looked like justice was closing in. But in 2018, the Sandiganbayan acquitted him, and in 2021, all graft charges were dismissed. Critics didn't buy it. To many, he remains the poster boy for PDAF scam.
Whoa.
In 2025, he lost his bid for re-election. The total amount he was allegedly linked to? 1.015 billion pesos.
How do people even get away with that much, bro? I don't get it. Nobody can get away from it. Order pizza. You see that right there? However, based on our own computation, the total alleged amount linked to Bong Revilla does not even exceed 600,000 pesos. Unfortunately, some media reports failed to clarify that several of the figures cited were overlapping or repeated across different cases, which likely caused the total to balloon to over 1 billion pesos in the public eye. This kind of narrative distortion may have contributed more to public outrage than the actual facts themselves. So yeah, I mean, that can happen. Like they just mentioned, right? Sometimes that happens, then they balloon it out of proportion, something that isn't that crazy, right? But it's still crazy. But anyways, what I was saying, bro, like, how do people get away with that much? Even still, even if it's just 600,000 pesos or it's just something else, how? Like, it's crazy work, bro. I can't even get away with $5. Like, what you mean?
At number 9 is Joseph Arap Estrada. Joseph Estrada became the first Philippine president convicted of plunder. But that wasn't the only case tied to his name. He was accused of pocketing 10 million pesos a month from Huweting lords, exposed by his former drinking buddy, Chavit Singson. He also funneled 545 million pesos in illegal funds through a youth foundation under his control. He misused 130 million pesos in tobacco taxes, took 189 million pesos in commissions from Belcorp stock deals, and allegedly played the market using an alias, Jose Velarde, to manipulate 3.2 billion pesos worth of BW Resources shares. Even as Manila mayor, he didn't slow down. KOA flagged him for 389 million pesos in shady city spending. And he was linked to a scandal involving 200 million pesos worth of luxury cars handed out like party favors to his friends and allies. In 2007, Estrada was convicted of plunder and sentenced to life.
Oh
but
my
just weeks
goodness.
Later, then President Gloria Arroyo gave him a full pardon. The total estimated amount he allegedly stole, 4.729 billion pesos.
Feels like something in my throat when he said that.
At number 8 is Nicanor Faelden.
This is only number 9.
In 2017, while heading the Bureau of Customs, several billions worth of shabu slipped through the country's ports, undetected. Senators Ping Lacson and Franklin Drylan called him out. Whistleblower Mark Taguba pointed fingers. Faelden was accused of either gross negligence or outright collusion. He was transferred to the Bureau of Corrections. But instead of a fresh start, he sparked another storm, the GCTA for sale scandal. Hundreds of inmates, including high-profile convicts, were reportedly released early in exchange for bribes. Senators and watchdog groups accused Faelden of turning Bucor into a pay-for-freedom machine. Multiple Senate hearings followed. Witnesses testified. Patterns emerged. Faelden was painted as a protector of corrupt networks inside both BOC and Bucor. And yet, no plunder or graft charges were ever filed. He was fired from Bucor by President Duterte. But as of 2025, Nicanor Fielden remains free and legally untouched. The total amount allegedly linked to his scandals?
Oh dear.
6.4 billion pesos.
What is number
At
one
number
like?
7 is
This is
Jose Miguel Mike Arroyo.
Holy moly.
As the
dude.
husband of former President Gloria Macapagal Arroyo, Mike Arroyo was often seen as the power behind the throne, and just as often behind the scandals. His name surfaced in one high-profile corruption case after another, always in the background, always pulling strings. In the controversial 17.7 billion pesos ZTE-NBN broadband deal, whistleblowers Joey De Venecia III and John Lozada accused him of pocketing 2.3 billion pesos in kickbacks. Then came reports that he bankrolled vote-buying operations in Lanao del Sur, allegedly pouring in 500 million to 1 billion pesos for special operations during elections in Mindanao.
Aid special operations.
His former
like-
aide, Veronica Bing Rodrigo, claimed he received 50 million pesos in lobbying money tied to telecom franchise approvals. He was also linked to the misuse of 20.5 million pesos in PCSO funds and to a rotten rice import deal that cost taxpayers another 9.5 million pesos.
It's always money, man.
All allegedly orchestrated while hiding behind official titles and executive immunity. He was indicted in 2007 for the ZTE deal, but walked free after posting bail. By 2016, the charges were dropped.
You know, I think the main thing I get from stuff like this is you look at it as like, man, there's so many corrupt, right? And keep in mind, you find what you're looking for. Like if you search this up, it's going to feel like the whole world is collapsing. Whatever state you're in, even for me, Brazil, like all the time I remember hearing corrupt this, corrupt that in Brazil, for example, or even United States and this and that. And you find what you're looking for. If you consistently search that up, it's going to consistently pop up and you're going to feel like the world is doomed, right? This is the reality. You know, so you take this and you kind of just see it for what it is. Like, okay, these are some corrupt Filipinos, but to realize very quickly, like, think about it, all the people around, right, that maybe are doing their due diligence. I always mess that word up. Due diligence, and kind of like put them under the scope and put them in that microscope and then arrest them or put them in jail, even for the time, no matter what time, whether you think it was not enough for this and that. My point is that it's important to point out the people who are finding them, right, in the Philippines. These fantastic, incredible Filipinos who are finding this, pointing it out, calling them out, and showing it for what it is, right? These are the things that, you know, a lot of us should be looking at too. Like, wow, the Philippines is incredible for the people who are also figuring this out, the people who are also pointing this out, the people who are mentioning some of these things. Because it's important to mention the good. Because if we just drown in all the bad, I mean, there's so much bad that can happen in the world. Trust me, I know. Even like I consistently mention being from Brazil, but Brazil is known for a lot of things that have happened too, right? And I love Brazil, but this is the reality. And when you look at it as the reality and you don't only get consumed by that negativity, you start to realize that, okay, it's okay to look at the bad, but don't be drowned and suffocated by it. You can look at the good and see the people who are doing the justice. You can see the people who are incredible singers. Like, I love seeing that. But I think that's a really important takeaway that I get from stuff like this. So just wanted to emphasize that real quick for anybody to understand, because I know some people get real negative in the comments when it's videos like this, but I had to point that out.
The total amount allegedly tied to his name, 9.08 billion pesos. At number 6 is Fidel V. Ramos.
My goodness.
Fidel Ramos is often praised for steering the country toward economic reform and political stability. But behind the glowing headlines, his presidency was shadowed by billion-peso controversies that were quietly buried over time. The biggest scandal was the Clark Centennial Expo, a supposedly patriotic project turned pork barrel disaster.
Oh, no.
The budget ballooned to 9 billion pesos, and COA audits flagged bloated costs, padded contracts, and questionable deals left and right. Then came the Bonifacio land deal. A prime slice of what is now BGC was sold to Ayala Land and other developers for a fraction of its value. The Senate Blue Ribbon Committee reported a 1.7 billion peso undervaluation, one of the largest land undervaluation cases in Philippine history. There was also the Libya Fund scandal. According to WikiLeaks and PCIJ, a $200,000 diplomatic donation from the Libyan government was quietly mishandled under Ramos's watch. To this day, no one knows where the money went.
I notice a lot of the time it has to do with like real estate almost, because it's kind of easier, right? Like imagine you're like, oh, you know, these walls cost $1 billion, but let me just say it was 2. You know what I mean? Like they just be doing that. So like it's kind of that idea that it's easier to just kind of just throw in a little lie in there, a little sneaky lie. Like it's easier, right? Like that's why.
Despite Senate probes, media exposés, and COA audits, no plunder or graft cases were ever filed. The total amount allegedly linked to his administration, 10.7 billion pesos.
Dog.
At number 5 is Andal Ampatuan Jr. Andal Ampatuan Jr. is best known as the principal suspect in the Maguindanao massacre, the deadliest election-related killing in Philippine history.
Bro, stuff like
But
this,
beyond
bro.
the murders,
No, man.
a mountain of corruption and smuggling allegations also surrounds his name. His family was also exposed in a COA audit for charging the government $238 million for diesel fuel deliveries that never happened. Meanwhile, the Anti-Money Laundering Council uncovered a staggering list of hidden assets: 597 bank accounts, 132 vehicles, 113 houses, and 142 firearms.
Holy moly.
Ombudsman reports later confirmed over 100 million pesos in undeclared wealth, including 55 million pesos from Andal Sr.'s estate and 54.9 million pesos from Andal Jr. himself.
And these are all just
And
what
in
happened,
2023,
basically.
separate from the massacre case, he was convicted of 21 counts of graft involving overpriced fuel contracts. The total amount allegedly linked to his name? 11.2 billion pesos.
Holy.
Number 4 in our list is Janet Lim Napoles. Janet Napoles was the woman behind the biggest corruption scandal in Philippine history, the Priority Development Assistance Fund scam, or PDAF. From 2007 to 2009, she allegedly orchestrated the funneling of lawmakers' pork barrel funds into fake NGOs she controlled.
So it's a majority
pocketing
money, man.
billions in public
It's
money.
like the money that
The
basically
Commission on Audit, along with whistleblower
lures
Ben
them.
Hurluy, exposed how 2.157 billion pesos was diverted to Napoles-linked NGOs. Politicians got massive kickbacks in exchange for funneling their PDAF through her. She was also linked to the Fertilizer Fund scam, involving 728 million pesos in agricultural funds,
See,
and the
agriculture,
Malampaya Fund scam, where 900 million pesos in energy royalties vanished through bogus projects. Even before all this, she appeared in a 2001 military procurement
2001.
case involving 3.8 million pesos
I was born
worth
that
of
year.
Kevlar helmets.
God
In recent
dang.
years, the courts ordered her to pay over 300 million pesos in civil penalties and restitution tied to the cases of Bong
Oh.
Revilla and others. But the real damage had already been done. In 2015, Napoles was convicted of plunder and sentenced to
Oh my-
life. More convictions followed in 2021 and 2023 for graft,
Yo.
bribery, and malversation.
Hey, they look like they don't
She's
play
now
with that.
serving a cumulative sentence of more than 100 years in prison. The total amount she was allegedly behind? 13.85
Holy
billion
moly.
pesos.
That's
Number 3
scary,
is
dude.
Gloria Macapagal Arroyo. Arroyo's presidency was rocked by some of the country's biggest corruption scandals, and she was at the center of nearly all of them.
Oh,
She
dear.
was accused of approving the overpriced 17 billion ZTE-NBN broadband deal in exchange for kickbacks. Then came the 728 million fertilizer scam, where funds were allegedly funneled to fake NGOs, again under her watch. In the PCSO scandal, 66 million pesos in intelligence funds under her office were flagged for misuse. She was also linked to the 900 million Malampaya Fund scam.
It's all with these funds, bro. They doing
Overspending
it.
during the 2007
Overspend.
ASEAN Summit raised eyebrows.
All that money, all that promise reduced to ruins. Proof that in this country, decay doesn't wait. It's built in, funded, and left to rot as a monument to what greed leaves behind.
With $830 million blown on the Cebu Convention Center and $500 million pesos on overpriced lampposts.
I think like humans, when it comes to money, like they forget, right? Like that money was like man-made, quite literally. I think like one of the best things I learned even growing up when it comes to stuff like this is that this stuff is man-made. You have to remember that money is man-made. You know, whatever you believe in, religion, anything like that, you have to remember this is like who you are and what you leave behind as a character, right? You and your own character, what you've built. You don't want to be remembered for certain things like this. But at the same time, like some people, I feel like they just get washed over by this greed, by this idea that they need that to be somebody, or they just want more. It's this conception of wanting more. You know what I mean? There's the people who have gluttony, right? Like they're so hungry, they want to eat all the time. Like it's okay to eat, you know what I'm saying? I love food too. But there is the moderation, right? The same thing can kind of be with money, right? There's nothing wrong with like, okay, I need some money for this. But if you make it your whole life, things are only going to go south. Things are only going to go bad because your eyes literally turn green. This is all you see. You're not thinking about broader pictures of like, you know, seeing your grandchildren, seeing these things that are much more important than just money. And I feel like that's crucial in these like moments of watching these videos because you can kind of pick up on mistakes that they made and choose not to do it and choose not to go down that path. If any of you watching this for some reason are going to be corrupt, hey, any future corruptors in here, don't do it, man. Don't do it, please. Like, you know what I'm saying?
What was meant to showcase progress and grandeur now reflects downfall and disgrace.
Yeah, bro.
The Cebu International Convention Center, built with $1 billion pesos, is now buried in misery. Drenched in wasted funds, it sits at the heart of a growing squatter zone and abject poverty. Once a grand project, it now stands as a rotting symbol of monumental corruption and government neglect.
Add to that the IMSA and North Rail deals. Foreign contracts riddled with overpricing.
It's always the
that
overprices,
cost the
bro.
government another 7.3 billion pesos.
Just do it right.
On top of it all, the infamous Hello Garcia wiretap suggested electoral fraud in 2004, a scandal that nearly got her impeached. She was arrested in 2011 over the PCSO fund case, but was acquitted by the Supreme Court in 2016.
Dang, is she in a wheelchair with a head
The
strap?
total amount allegedly tied to her presidency, 29.75 billion pesos. Number 2 on the list is Paulo Pulong Duterte.
Ah, I've heard about
Pulong
this
is
one.
the eldest son of former President Rody Duterte, known for his war on drugs. But many question Duterte's sincerity, pointing to Pulong, who's often accused of being a drug lord protector. While the father is respected by Mindanaoans and Cebuanos, Pulong is feared in Davao. A stark contrast. He was at the center of the 6.4 billion peso drug smuggling scandal in 2017. Customs officials and fixers said a group called the Davao Group, led by Pulong, helped illegal shipments pass and collected millions in grease money.
Sheesh.
He's been accused of smuggling luxury cars,
Well, he looks
taking
scary.
bribes at Davao ports,
Sorry.
and protecting ukay-ukay imports, all signs of underworld behavior. He was linked to the 65 billion peso Farm Alley scandal, reportedly using connections to land big pandemic contracts.
Oh, this is during the
Reports
pandemic?
flagged 27 million pesos in unexplained wealth, along with ghost projects and shady deals in Davao. More recently, CCTV allegedly showed him beating a pimp in a Davao bar after
Oh.
failing to provide girls for him and his guests,
Oh.
a place he's said to frequent.
Oh, dude.
Many say he hides behind his father's name to bend the law,
That scares me.
manipulate deals, and bully anyone in his way. Total amount tied to him? 71.5 billion pesos.
It just came from 29 to
Despite
71.
all the allegations, Pulong has never been indicted.
Yeah.
Some cases
heard about
were
that too.
dismissed. Others are still under investigation, and some never reached court. In the end,
Yeah.
these remain allegations. Interestingly, many of the claims trace back to Antonio Trillanes. Yes, the same man who once led a failed coup against a sitting president. He built much of his career on rebellion and outrage.
Whoa, he
This
looked creepy
country
to me.
needs strong anti-corruption crusaders, and a watchdog like Trillanes could make a real impact. But only if he sets aside personal bias. And finally, number 1 in the list of allegedly the most corrupt Filipinos is Martin "Sonny" Romualdez. As Speaker of the House, Romualdez is now at the center of what may be the biggest budget scandal in Philippine history. In 2025, he was accused of inserting 241 billion pesos into the national budget using falsified entries.
Aw, dang, dude.
The complaint, filed with the Office of the Ombudsman, includes 12 counts of graft and falsification,
12 counts?
and alleges that large portions of the insertion were funneled to favored contractors. But here's the explosive part. 32 billion pesos of that insertion was allegedly used to pressure lawmakers into signing the impeachment complaint against Vice President Sara Duterte, with 25 million pesos in ayuda, 25 million pesos from AICS funds, and 100 million pesos in infrastructure allocations promised per congressman. A total of 215 lawmakers
Holy.
signed. That wasn't his only controversy. In 2022, Romualdez was linked to a 3 billion peso bribery attempt related to the Okada Manila casino dispute. As of mid-2025, no conviction has been made. The allegations remain serious, ongoing, and well documented.
It's crazy,
But
dog.
until proven in court, they remain just that. Allegations.
Yeah.
The total amount allegedly linked to his name? A staggering 245.8 billion pesos.
You see this jump? It went from 79 now
And
to...
there you have it.
Crazy,
The top
bro.
10 allegedly most corrupt Filipinos in recent history.
That is insane.
Some have been convicted. Others are still under investigation. And many continue to strut in power.
I think money is a very scary topic for some people when it really shouldn't be in a sense, but I think, like I mentioned before, it's just this idea of you want more, right? You want to constantly chase more, but then again, a lot of these were allegations. The other ones they've been convicted for with proof, clearly. And I think it's just a scary thing all the time because a lot of people, you have to remember, right? They don't think the same as you, which is of course obvious, but then again, when you really think about it deeply, like some people care a lot more about money and what you say more than others. Me, I don't care about money like that. You know what I mean? I've never been somebody who's like obsessed with money. I want to get a Ferrari. I never cared about any of that. But maybe that's because of the way that I grew up. I grew up that family is always around, talking, funny, laughter, goofy. This is all that I have ever wanted. Just laughing and be able to be at a home with my family, and that's that. And eat and enjoy dinners. Boom. But some people want more and more and more. And that's where this happens, man. Hey, thank you guys for linking us over, and thank you so much for watching. I really do appreciate it. Hey, if you liked it, leave a like. If you loved it, subscribe. If you want more, let me know down in the comments below. And yeah, till next time, guys. Peace. Look. How good you been living? Wait, how good you been living? I've been living too good for you. I've been living too. Did what I did and I do it again. Every move that I make, I ain't feeling repent. Nobody believes to believe it's a friend, and you question your moves like you really won't end.